So without further ado, normally at this point, I would hand it over to Gary to introduce the presenter, but since, well, Gary may be here. Is Gary here? Gary, are you here?
I don't see him on the.
If not, anyway, I'm the presenter tonight, so I'll just go ahead and keep on talking. And tonight's presentation is about preventing birds from hitting your window and killing you. And this photo here is, I don't know how long it took them to gather that many birds, but it's awful. It's happened at my house. I'm sure it's happened at most people's houses. Thank you for showing up. Welcome. Okay.
The light's really low.
So some perspective on the issue. I'm just going to let you peruse these slides if I don't have anything to add to it. It's pretty obvious we have some issues here with bird mortality, cats, windows. And if you have any a question, just if you're at your home and have a question, you can send a chat or otherwise raise your hand Zoom style, and we can recognize you at home as well as those of you who are in the room. More perspective on the issue.
Small to read, like,
Yeah.
that's what we should be seeing.
Well, in particular, okay, so you've got minimum, maximum, and average estimate of birds being killed in various ways. Cats at the top of the list, nearly 2.5 million, 2.5 billion birds on average every year being killed by cats, either feral or cats are outside for some part of the day. Window collisions, whether they're buildings or homes, 600 million every year. So we have a bit of an issue here. And so the reason I got involved is that I've had neighborhood cats come and kill birds at my house. I've also had birds strike windows, and I'm thinking, well, there's a lot of things we can't control, but this is one thing we can control, because there are cheap and effective ways of treating our windows such that birds can actually see that, oh, there's an obstacle there. I can't fly there. So okay, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Uh-oh, how can I get this? Do this. Bear with me while I want to share this part of the screen. Okay. Well, I don't know why this is not working. Here it worked at home, but you click on that link, and what you see is a young woman being filmed with somebody is filming this woman, and she walks into a solid glass door. It just bonk. It's funny, but sorry, it doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why, but there you go.
There you go.
Wow.
Anyway, this is another screen. I'll just let you read. Can those of you at home read the screen?
Yes.
Thank you. So far we've established that, yes, birds are killed by windows and they are killed because they see a reflection. There in two ways, there's two properties of glass. One is it's very reflective. In this case, that's a window at my home. And so a bird sees trees and sky and thinks, I can go that way. Or if you have a corridor and there's glass on both sides and they can actually see through that glass, then they will fly through that, or at least attempt to fly through that glass because it's transparent. And so both of those properties of glass present a problem for birds. More of the same. It's just that human beings, whether we are contribute to that mortality. All right. This is getting annoying. Here we go.
That may be small to read. That might be small to read. You might want to
Yeah.
summarize.
Okay. Okay, so the residential part of this problem, we're not talking about skyscrapers and other industrial or stadiums, but our homes. We feed birds, we provide water-built houses and plant native plants to attract birds because we enjoy them. And because maybe it helps them during the winter when they're struggling to find food and water. So the next step, in addition to keeping your cat indoors to prevent our feathered friends from killing themselves by flying into the windows. However, that's actually backwards. We should make our yards safe for birds before we invite them to our yard. Actually, all those who have gotten this backwards, you want to raise your hand. For years, first thing you do is build a bird feeder or put a bird bath out there, etc. And just recently, last February, in fact, Jim Cubey made a presentation on window collisions for the chapter by way of Zoom. And he's the one that really got me into the idea of, let's make our yard safe first and then invite birds to our yard. He's been a great resource for me and for everybody all over the place because he's got a website with all kinds of information, some of which you're seeing again here. Okay, so the last is, but I only find a couple of dead birds. So what's the big deal? Okay, well, for me, the deal is I don't want even one chickadee or siskin to hit my window and die. But for those who need a little bit more convincing, do you vote? And if you do vote, does your vote make a difference? One vote in the scheme of things? Well, I still vote, and I'm not sure that my one vote makes that much difference, but I still do it. And I'm protecting my windows because I don't want one chickadee to die because of my windows. Okay, so which leads to the next question that people often ask, and that is, if you look around, maybe you find birds, maybe you don't. Sometimes a bird will strike the window and fly off, and you think, well, it lived. And maybe it did, and maybe it didn't. ultimately, because I've seen it lots of times at my house. Bird hits the window, and you go outside and it's, you watch and think, is it gonna get up and fly? You hope it gets up and flies. But that's kind of a false sense of what may happen to that bird. It may live, maybe just fine, but may just go off and have a brain trauma and thus be vulnerable to cats, raccoons, whatever. By the way, that chipmunk, it looks to me like that chipmunk has a American goldfinch. See the wings sticking out. At any rate, I didn't know before I started exploring this that chipmunks would actually do that. Because they're such cute little guys, but they got to eat too. So if they go to a killer window and find, hey, cool, a meal, and so at any rate. So here, now we're getting into the meat of this presentation, and that is, what can we do about our windows? And so, you don't have to do all the windows in your house, just the 1 or 2 or 3 windows that are the real killer windows at your place. You don't have to use the same system. There are all kinds of different systems, and some you might want to use one system, and some windows may be hard to clean or hard to get to. You can use a different system. There are lots of fairly inexpensive systems that you can use to protect your windows. Most collisions occur during the daylight hours, especially in the early mornings. And they also occur on the side of your house where you have native berry bushes, or your feeders are set up on one side of the house, and that's generally where you're going to attract the birds and where the birds are going to possibly fly into a window. So for me, we started this initiative about a year ago, and there's really several aspects of it. One of them is just education, communicating, letting people know this is a problem, and we can solve it one house at a time or one window at a time, fairly inexpensive. So that's where we are now, just educating people. And the next phase really is getting involved in going to the planning commission and trying to get some zoning ordinances. There are a number of cities around. Just heard about Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, I think just made it so that all new construction of homes needs to include some way of bird safe glass. That's that, if we can do that here, I'm going to work on it. Out of my comfort zone, really, I have no idea how to do that, but there are zoning examples, written examples of zoning ordinances that we have access to. So at any rate, if anybody has some experience in that regard and wants to join me in that effort, I welcome you. Contact me at some point. The American Bird Conservancy is a fantastic organization. I really support their work, and you have seen in the Pygmy-Owl a number of articles from the American Bird Conservancy, but they have tested a lot of these systems, the window treatments that are out there, and they have come up with something called threat factors. And something like a brick wall has a threat factor of 1. That means it doesn't reflect, it's not transparent, and so birds are really unlikely to fly into a brick wall. And so the lower the threat factor number, the better, the less likely a bird is to injure itself by flying into that window. So you can see masonry has a threat factor of 1. Whereas bird's eye view, which are these little decals that you can put on your windows. And I had these on my windows. I had a big window, 3 foot by 6 foot, and I put 2 of these decals spread like this in that. And I can tell you, it's not effective. What you have to do with these decals, and they're put on the inside of the window. It's kind of a static clean device. So, if you want to make it effective, you have to space them about 2 inches apart and cover the window. Right? Nobody does that. You know, everybody just puts a couple of things, or they put the hawk silhouette, something like that, right? Totally ineffective. You have to space it a couple inches apart for it to be effective. This would work, but I wouldn't want to look out a window that has covered with these guys. So the threat vector is useful on, you go onto the American Bird Conservancy website, and you will see they have dozens of different window treatments available. And each one has a threat factor. And that helps you kind of narrow down the possibility of the systems that you might use on your house. Well, I've gone through that, and I've narrowed it down further by what's cheap and effective. And that's what I want to show you tonight. So here's the first. I don't know how many people have their windows in their homes have screens on the outside of the windows. I don't. I have casement windows, and the screens are on the inside. So this doesn't work for me. But for anybody who has screens on the outside of the windows, threat factor of 1. So that's a very effective way of preventing birds from flying into that window, at least. Bird screens, same concept, only this is a little mock-up that I bought this bird screen from the Bird Screen Company. And the price up there, 1 3 foot by 6 foot window, $30. You can also buy screen material from any of the big box stores and make it yourself. Easy enough to do. What you need to do, however, is, and you can either let it float like this, and the wind would blow it, and it would blow around, or you can attach it at the bottom like it is attached to the top. The important thing is to space it out from the glass itself by 3 or 4 inches. That's why these hooks that they provide are not all the way in. It's just to give you a little gap between the screen and the glass, but very effective, just like an insect screen. Okay, threat factor of 5, still very effective. Any threat factor less than 30 is deemed by the American Bird Conservancy to be effective at preventing bird collisions.
You want to unshare your screen if you're going to be showing these, because the Zoom people can't go only see a little tiny thing of you.
Can they see it? Ask them,
That's a
ask
good
them if they
question.
can see it.
Can you see this screen very well?
Only if they're zooming you as well as sharing your screen, and then it gets exponentially smaller.
Right.
I'm not sure I understand that. So how
It's
can
like
we?
a picture on your TV, and your TV 6 inches.
You're an inset on this,
See, this is what it looks like.
but ask them.
Yeah.
Okay, so so how do I, what do I need
Why
to
don't you
do?
share your screen
Unshare
while
your
you're
screen.
showing presentation?
But then you got,
Thank you,
Well-
Joe. Okay, so I'm gonna stop.
but then can you come back to where you
I
were?
hope so.
Yeah, I know. That could,
Okay, so now does that help? That helps. Good.
Yeah.
thank you. All right, so this is a bird screen from the Bird Screen Company.
How do you make it big?
So to take it out from the little frame, so everybody's in the same size frame up in the upper right-hand corner is a view icon. And when you click on that, you have the option of gallery or speaker view. And if you put it on speaker view, it will show Alan in a large box instead of a thumbnail box.
There
Right?
you go. So leave your screen up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so I didn't need to stop sharing my screen?
I don't.
Or did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
You
you
needed to
did.
do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right,
You're welcome.
so first screen. That's one option.
So if you
You
stop.
can either buy it from a
sharing,
bird screen
see.
company or make it yourself. Buy the screen material from one of the big box stores. Okay, so I'm going to need to somehow share my screen again and switch to the next slide, right?
Oh, we can see it. Zoom can't see it.
I still can't get it here. I can see after the full screen.
Got it. We can see the bird screen again, the
Okay,
bird screen slide.
Slide.
Yeah, you're back to sharing your screen.
yeah, glasses. I'm back to sharing the screen. However, I can't seem to get it to go to the next screen here. Let's move this baby up here. Come on. Okay, next screen possibility. Acopian bird savers. This is another do-it-yourself project, or you can have you can buy from Acopian. You can buy their ready-made kit, but it's a pretty easy project. J-channel is available at any big box store. Paracord is available, Amazon, any number of other places.
Oh, paracord.
It's paracord. Yeah, 100-foot paracord, $17 at Amazon. Spaced 4 inches apart. You wouldn't think that that is something that would be effective, but they've tested it and it is effective. And they've tested different distances. You can, I only attached it at the top at my house. But I know of other people that don't like the swinging of these. It's really windy. They hit the window and make a noise. That doesn't bother me. But at any rate, you can attach it top and bottom, and they're taut, still effective. The problem, the reason I didn't do that is that I wanted to be able to clean the windows, big windows, etc. So, Mark, we have a question.
So is that effective because? Is that,
Just talk.
Should be.
that effective because the birds fly into it and realize, oops, I can't do this? Or is it because the birds see it and don't try to fly?
They see
See
it,
it.
and they see it, well, they can see spider web. So easy to see this. And it's spaced, the spacing is important because they think, oh, I can't fit between there. They can still see the reflection, but they see these obstacles and think, I can't fit between that. There's some debate as to whether hummingbirds, whether this is effective with hummingbirds, but I think the last bit I read was that yes, it's effective with hummingbirds as well. Good question, thank you. Acopian bird savers. Hey, bingo. Okay. Bird netting. Which time we have? Okay, we've got half an hour. Bird netting. Now, notice one thing I didn't do correct on this. I didn't space it out from the glass. Actually, there's no glass in this because I didn't put any glass in this mock-up. But at any rate, for it to be effective, you want it to be spaced out from the glass itself by 3 or 4 inches. Again, very cheap, effective system for preventing bird collisions.
And you would have to. Sorry, let me hear you.
Don't touch the button, just talk.
Well, it doesn't work?
Yes.
Okay, you would have to secure that so that they don't get tangled up in it, right? On the sides or on the,
Top and bottom,
just top and bottom?
top and bottom.
Okay, so it's a little bit taut.
Yes, you could weigh it down. You could put something at the bottom, that would- like a 2x4, or just a 1x2,
Yeah.
just enough, and spaced out from the window, from the glass a little bit. Did everybody hear that question and the answer?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Notice the threat factor for feather friendly, which I'm going to get to right now. This is just a series of dots placed 2 inches apart in both directions. Threat factor of 20 is still very effective at preventing bird collisions. Not quite as cheap, 4x4 window for 20 bucks, but very easy to apply. It comes, and I'll show, it comes in strips. I have a feather friendly kit here. This is a thin 1/4-inch piece of roll of tape. You just stretch it out and it sticks to your window. You can apply it vertically or horizontally. It's still the tape that holds the dots is clear. The dots are white, so that when what you get is a series of dots. And if you feel this, you can feel that tape only at the dot. Yes.
How well does it hold up for cleaning?
For cleaning, that's a good question. I haven't installed this system, but they say that it holds up very well for cleaning. That's a great question. That's a question I had. I didn't really want to attach a something to my window like that for that very reason. But you know, you read the website and they say it lasts. It's durable. It will last. Now, if you use a squeegee like I do on a number of my windows, I don't know how well that would work.
Are they put on the outside or the inside?
Thank you for asking that. The most effective systems for preventing collisions are systems that are put on the outside of the window.
We have a comment from a Zoomer who says they have feather friendly on their sliders and it works great.
It works great in terms of cleaning as well as preventing collisions.
They didn't say.
Okay, they probably will. Thank you for that.
They just said, yeah, cleaning and keeping the,
Very good. Thank you.
away.
For those of you who are in this room, you can come up afterwards and look more closely at these. And I will have these, by the way, speaking of that, at Finch Arboretum on the 22nd, we will be having a table at there's a fall leaf festival at Finch Arboretum from 11 to 2. And I will have these systems there too. So those of you who are at home, not able to come tonight, if you're able to come on Saturday at Finch Arboretum, you'll be able to see these more closely. I invite you to come to that. So feather friendly, very good company to work with. They have a lot of institutions have used feather friendly because on that kind of scale, institutional scale, it's fairly inexpensive. Okay, the last. Okay, imagine that this window does not have any dots. This system here that you really can't see. Okay, you've got two bars, a bar at the top and the bottom, and you have monofilament line, fishing line attached between at 3-inch intervals. It has a thread factor of about the same as feather friendly, and yet visually, you really can't see that there's anything there. The monofilament is spaced out about 4 inches from the glass. I really like this. You can do it yourself easily. Just, you can buy fishing line. Maybe you're a fisher person and already have fishing line. Just a simple, a couple pieces of wood, the width of the window. And I'm building one now because I have a window that I want to apply this to. You wouldn't think that that this would make any difference whatsoever. But again, birds can perceive spider webs. So if they can perceive spider webs, they can perceive this. I mean, humans would walk into this every single day, even if they know it's there. So at any rate, I like this idea.
And I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
are the filaments only vertical there? They're not horizontal, right? I can see the dots are horizontal and vertical, but
Exactly. These are just vertical. You've got a line here, straight down here. At each one of these spots, there's a monofilament line going down to the bottom, and that's it.
every 3 inches.
Every
Okay,
3
thank
inches.
you.
So another effective and inexpensive system. Okay. So now I have some examples from board members of systems that they put in. So B and Jim Harrison sent me pictures of their home. This is an Acopian bird saver type system that they did themselves. Looks like some PVC. Now look at the bottom. They have actually attached it top and bottom so that the cords are not waving around and tangling. However, they spaced them 6 inches. I'm not sure why they did that, but they did, and B told me that it was fairly effective nevertheless. So I think I would recommend, if you're going to do one, do it at 4 inches. That's what they recommend. That's what's been tested at the American Bird Conservancy. So I think that's it's maybe a smidge more expensive because you have a few more lines per window. But at any rate, so B and Jim have that window covered with theirs. Lindell has the bird netting system attached to her house. You can barely see it. It looks like it's white. The threads or whatever it is, kind of white color.
No, they're black.
They're black.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Show up that way in the light.
You can barely see it, but you can see that it's spaced out from the window. It's attached on the right-hand side up at the top. There's a picture that she showed that it's where it's attached to the eave, and then it's attached down at the bottom of the siding. So there's a space
Yeah,
between the netting and the glass, and you've had it up for quite some time, haven't you?
Yeah. for, I got 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's that netting,
bird netting,
it's the netting that you would put over your
Whoops,
strawberries
sorry.
or stuff like that.
Say it again.
Start again, I didn't turn you up.
Okay, it's like the netting you put over your strawberries, to keep the birds out. But, yeah, you put it up against the underside of your eaves, and then I have had a 2x4 attached at the bottom, which gives a little more weight to the netting, but seems to work well. And as it turns out, we do have a small ledge there under the window, which also keeps the netting from getting too close.
right? Thank you. And here's what I have in my house. These windows, I've got 6 windows on the upper side and 6 companion windows on the bottom side. The upper windows are the ones that seem to be killer windows. So I put a copy of bird savers on the upper windows. And I didn't attach them at the bottom, and they do flop around, but that's okay with me. It's in, that room is it's what we call the sun space, and it's the wind does come and it does blow them around, and I can hear the noise, but it doesn't bother me. So at any rate, so far so good. I've had them up for maybe 5-6 months. So what I would like from anybody who has a system installed, we have a web page on our website devoted to window collisions, and I'd like to have a photo gallery of anybody's system that they put in their house, whether it's bird netting or a Cokin bird savers or whatnot. I would like to just show all the different ways that people have invented to protect their windows, protect the birds that they're attracting to the yards. So I invite you to send me photos and just describe it briefly, the treatment that you've provided on your house. Okay. Here are a lot of resources that I think I have all of these resources on our website at the end of the website. So there's lots of information, more information than you really need. But one of those you'll see is a book called Solid Air by Daniel Klim, who's the major researcher and promoter of window treatments to prevent collisions. It's an interesting book. You don't have to, it's available, fairly inexpensive. I can't remember how much I paid for it, maybe $15 on at Antes. At any rate, worth reading if you're interested in it, and that is all I have. So I'm inviting questions at this point from anybody. Please.
Thank you. So with the distance away from the window,
Yeah, you're on.
so the distance away from the window, it did talk about, like if you have it too close to the window, like how much reduction you get in the effectiveness of it.
There is probably research to that end. I don't know that data off the top of my head. What I do know is that generally you space it out 3 or 4 inches. It's for anything like bird netting or a Copian bird savers, anything that you don't attach to the outside of the window of the glass itself, which obviously there's no space difference. But insect screens, bird netting, a Copian bird savers, all spaced out some distance, 3 or 4 inches from the window. And it's basically the birds see it. In the case of, say, bird savers, the paracord that hangs down, none of these systems, by the way, are guaranteed to be 100%. If a frantic bird trying to get away from a Sharpie is going to be frantic, right? So they may fly into a brick wall for that matter. Unlikely, but in the event that the bird does fly into the netting or something, if you have screen or netting, it's going to be, and it's spaced out a bit, very unlikely that bird's going to be killed. If it's a Copian bird savers, they're going to hit the glass, in that instance, and they could be killed. Does that answer your question?
Well, I'm kind of curious, like if you have, most windows are recessed a little bit. And so if you can't get people to do as much as having something hang out 3 inches off of their window, which is going to be visible from the outside, just getting them to put fishing line across their windows, across that.
And maybe it's 2 inches.
Or even less, like even if it's an inch, like how much reduction you get from
That's
that. And because that sounds easier to convince people to.
That's a great question that, to which I don't have an answer. Except I would say that having monofilament, even if it is an inch away, is a lot better than nothing. Because the birds can actually see that there's something there. So that's my answer that, and I'm gonna dig around and see if I can find that, and I'll post it on our website. Thank you for that question, because you're right. It would be easier if all you did was use the framing that's already there, as opposed to getting a piece of wood and putting a bunch of screws in that wood and attaching that. Yeah, good question.
Is this one working too?
I turn you up.
Oh, okay. Because I was just gonna say, the guy we had talked to us a year ago or so,
Cubic.
QB, he was saying, and I don't know if it was about the depth so much, is just, if you think about how birds fly through the forest, and they're dodging little tiny things and like spider webs even. So, which is why just putting some decals here and there doesn't do a thing, because they have lots of room to fly. So the less room they have to fly, the better. I remember him saying that. It just, so the tighter you can get it.
Okay, we have a Zoom
Thanks, Madonna.
comment here. Don, do you want to come active and talk about what you just said in the chat room?
Yeah, just unmute yourself. Who is it,
Can you hear
Don?
me?
Yes.
So I've used a combination of the white glass pens and also a UV pen and a UV dauber, and it's totally eliminated all bird collisions.
Wow.
I would love it if you could send pictures of that. So I could share that on our website.
I will, except I'm in California until November, and when I get back, I'll send you pictures.
Wonderful, thank you very much. What's your last name?
Driscoll.
Don Driscoll. Thank you, Don. I didn't quite understand.
So what he wrote is that he used a combination of a white glass pen, I guess a white ink that goes
Like
to
an acrylic.
glass,
Yeah.
and a UV pen, which I've never heard of a UV pen, and a UV dabber. I'm not sure. Dauber, what's that?
The thing that they use for bingo.
Yeah.
So you could just draw all over it, and it's UV, so you can't see it, but you could draw a bird or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he said he made vertical lines 2 to 4 inches and it's completely eliminated bird collisions.
Nice.
Wow.
And you can't see it from the inside?
So the UV pen is virtually invisible. The white pen, it's pretty narrow mark, and really it's not very noticeable.
And those white lines are vertical lines, and they're 2 inches apart.
Actually, the white lines, I usually do 4 inches apart. And then a lot of times I will fill the gap with a UV line.
Where do you get them?
You can get them on Amazon.
And do you do that on the inside of the window or the
Outside,
outside?
has to be outside.
And cleaning the outside of the window then doesn't erase what you've done.
Yes, it does.
No.
I
Okay.
actually put these on last spring, and I haven't touched the windows since. They are under an eave, so they don't get a lot of weather. So if you were going to clean them a lot, you would have to reapply it, I assume.
Okay, but still, that sounds like a fairly inexpensive and effective way of preventing, and especially so if you've got a window that you don't clean very often. It'd be interesting as an experiment to try it on the inside and see if that was equally effective. Thanks, Don.
Did you have some stuff there?
I do have some information, but I think that we have another question.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Please.
Conversely, if you had an eave that was out, say, 3 feet, is it counter indicated to have, hang it from that place rather than this far away from the window?
I think it would work.
Try
I
it.
think it would work.
I think especially
It'd
if
be
it's something
easier
that's,
for me to hang it off of that eave than try to figure out how to hang it.
I think especially if it's like the cords that are moving around, I think anything that moves around would be a deterrent. That's what I did for my Robin problem, like with your Robin problem.
So, if you have any questions, I'm really happy to work with people to come up with different ways of attaching, doing any of these systems. So if anybody either anybody here participating in this, I'm available, phone, email, text, to answer questions, where to get the systems, how to do it. If you have any questions, if I don't have an answer, I can find that answer out. So I'm happy to, because I would really like it if everybody, find out that one window in your house that's a killer window and put some kind of a treatment on that window, because we can save birds that way, and they sure need saving. So any other chat comments or questions?
Did you have a giveaway?
Oh, I do, actually not with me, but I do have a giveaway. That is, I have enough, I have some feather friendly product to give away, or I have some paracord and J channel I can provide to whoever wants to put in a bird saver system on your house. It's an easy system to install, and I have enough to give away. So I have two different systems I can give away to anybody who's here or in the room or at home. Just let me know if you want that. I can provide it.
Anything else?
So I'm good unless there are some other questions. I hope it was helpful to everybody who zoomed in and to those of you here. So thank you for being here.
Hey, Alan, I have one more question.
Don, go ahead.
Are there commercial window products available for residential and for instance, office buildings that prevent bird collisions?
Yes, there are dozens of commercially available products. You can find out about it through the American Bird Conservancy. If you go to that, let's see, the second line of that resource page, American Bird Conservancy glass collisions, they have literally dozens of solutions, both commercial and for residential, that you can buy ready-made. Now, some of those more expensive systems really need professional installation for universities, stadiums, those sorts of large projects where you've got high windows, etc. But yes, there are lots available.
Another PS, is this coming through?
Yes.
Salty's Flats, Doris Morrison
Wait,
Learning Center.
I didn't turn you up, sorry.
Oh,
Start all over.
Doris Morrison Learning Center at Salty's Flats. We're going to be putting these kinds of things on the windows out there, right?
That's correct. That learning center out at Salty's is going to be completed, I think, in spring of 2023. And at that, they're going to have a number of these window treatment systems applied to their windows on the learning center, so that you can go out there and see them in person. So that's going to be a fantastic facility.
All right.
Any other questions from you at home or in here? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And Don, I look forward to those photos when you get back in town.
To the people in the room, if you didn't sign in, I'd appreciate it if you would. We're trying to track members, non-members, and showing the meet. And please help yourself to some goodies before you go.
You've been non-member for Spokane's Audubon.
For Spokane Audubon, right.
Okay, all you Zoomers, if you're still there, we're gonna try to do some close-ups of some of the windows. I'm not sure how to make you go full screen or not.
Do I need to do something here?
I think that's as good as it got during your presentation.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You can't see all you can see is the offset, but you can't see.
I know. It's hard to
the
see.
monofilament. No
It
way
is
to see
hard.
that. You
Yeah.
barely see it in here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that's how you can feel that.
Said he got
To the outside of the window. This is a commercial. I
A
bought
lot of
this.
us.
I'm making one right now for my.
Audubon Society.
They did everything. All I had to do was unroll it. And this is enough. You can see there's a lot of monofilament left. This is enough for a 7-foot window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, you can use it on any window. This is commercial.
I don't agree with windows, but about.
And I can't remember. I had that.
Be good, it'll be good, please.
We only do one.
Yeah, it is. Well, the cool thing is you can't see it. It just doesn't have any visual interference at all.
Local.
Exactly. I tell you what, it was a battle in my.
Well, you know, I wish I didn't know about that. Do they still do that?
Printed one?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so here's one option.
Money in twice. European, I've never heard a word.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you, if you didn't sign in, sign in.
Bird netting
Way we can
that Lindell has,
put a note by your name.
not spaced out appropriately, but nevertheless better than nothing, even if it's only an inch from the glass. I think it's probably effective. Because that's quite visible. And yet,
Mine
Well-
isn't that heavy.
You know,
it's a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be heavy duty. I don't think.
still put it down.
I guess it depends if it's a visual deterrent
Well,
or a physical deterrent.
People other than-
If they hit it, yeah, exactly.
I always thought yours would be more than they might make it into it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, yeah, open bird savers, also known as thin curtains because of the motion. I kind of like that, but I know that Lisa said, that wouldn't work for me because I don't want to hear it.
That's, you know, it's kind of, if you.
Yeah, screen material, that's very effective.
So.
Currently, you're not.
I'm a member of the national, I am a member.
Comment.
Well, if you want to get.
Yes. Bye, folks. I think it looks like we're gonna be finishing up here. So thank you for coming, and please give us feedback about the presentation, either the content or just the whole hybrid experiment. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll be. Thanks.